more. But let me first say, we have very clear, most of us talk very vaguely about transition and just transition without
Mm-hmm.
understanding what is transition is. In the last
Mm-hmm.
150 years, particularly in the 19th century, we had three transition as human society. So we know what are the parameters by which you can measure whether you are doing a transition or you are just adding something. By that measure, the whole global society is not yet transitioning. The total primary energy that India consumes, 81% still comes from coal, oil, and gas. 81% after nearly 20 years of programs, etc. We are doing good. Where programs, solar and all have been increased. But look at the other point that you mentioned, life. I was there, in fact, in the COP in Sharm el Sheikh when Prime Minister announced that lifestyle for environment. Look at what we are doing. Just adding some solar will not change lifestyles. On the one hand, you have to look at the supply side. On the other hand, you have to look at the demand or consumer side. On the consuming side, one of the major areas is transportation or mobility. Over the last 10 years, 15 years, we have been increasing our aviation infrastructure, the number of airports, the number of aircraft companies, the number of aircrafts, people exploding. An aircraft travel and air travel emits 7 to 8 times as much carbon dioxide than a good fast train travel per passenger kilometer. So this is a action which is completely opposite a transition. Forget about a just transition. Second, we are still expanding our coal infrastructure, both mining and coal power plant, which is completely against a transition. Forget about just transition. So the other way for looking at it is, yes, this could have been done. The solar that has been done, I welcome the government's push for rooftop decentralized solar. That was that, and somebody said that has performed very well, which is not true. That was still now the worst performing amongst the renewables. That's why this additional funding is very good, because if you recollect, when 100 gigawatt solar, target was 60 from utility scale, 40 gigawatt from rooftop, and we ended up with 7.5 gigawatt from a target of 40 gigawatt. So that was one of the worst performing renewable sectors. So last 2 3 years, the PM Surya Ghar and additional funding for that, this is a welcome change. And the problem is elsewhere also, because the implementation, the discom, distribution companies are actually the bottleneck. And we have worked with large number of villages and villagers who we wanted to give into solar, but their discoms are really a bottleneck. But that apart, giving a budgetary push is welcome. But look at every other sector of demand. The lifestyle that we are pushing, given the national cooling program, it is focusing exclusively on air conditioning, whereas passive cooling and passive heating is almost completely absent. If you go for air conditioner based national cooling program, then your energy demand is going to skyrocket. Even in summer in Delhi now, 45% of the electricity goes into cooling. So in one hand, it's very nice sounding thing, lifestyle for environment. What this government is pushing is actually lifestyle for destroying the environment. And not the last
Thank
point is,
you.
the last point I want to mention, 2070 or 2060, these are meaningless, laughable targets. Already we have crossed annual temperature of 1.6 in 2024, though the 20-year average has not crossed. By all predictions, by 2040, that target, that red line will be crossed, and then some of the feedback mechanisms might be triggered off. So 2060 or 2070 is completely meaningless target. If we really have to do something about climate, along with pushing the rich countries for much faster action, we ourselves also has to focus on our own needs, particularly the communities and the areas which are very, very vulnerable to climate change. If you look at Himachal, look at what happened in Kerala, Himachal 23, Sikkim, all across the country, massive amount of impacts are happening. And the government is not really responding with any preparation. They are just responding with post-disaster knee-jerk responses. And that needs